Jack Tomlinson, welcome into Forever Forward, man. Happy to have you on.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, bro, it's my pleasure. I just had your brother and your mom on. Awesome episode, but I saw you've got a couple irons in the fire too, man. You're an entrepreneur. Yeah. You're a content creator. So, look, I want to get into all of it. Maybe a good place to start is like, what made you want to turn on the camera and start filming? Because it's a vulnerable place to be, but you seem to be embracing it, man. So what's going on there?
Absolutely. I don't know if I have an exact answer of a time where it just kind of clicked in my head, but I feel like, after being on the show and starting to create content for Connor on his social medias and getting to edit it and experience all that, I just kind of fell in love with creating. Yeah. And I've always loved the idea of YouTube. I've been obsessed with it. I've taken so much from it. I've been a fan of multiple people on YouTube for a long time, and I've just grown a lot as a person. So I feel like being able to have my own platform potentially to do that and give back, I guess, what it's given me is something that inspires me and excites me. So one
of your videos that I like a lot is titled, Just Do It, right? And it's effectively you going on there and talking about like why you started this and a little bit about, I don't know, some fears people have about being judged and why you shouldn't fear that and why the only person that can stop you is you. So is that kind of what you're going here? I feel like you're really pushing a message of authenticity. Like social media doesn't have a lot of folks like you, I feel like.
Absolutely. And I feel like I can speak on this because I've always been very entrepreneurially, whatever the word is, minded. And, what entrepreneurs do is they find a gap in a market and they try to fill it. Yeah. And I feel like what I've seen on social media is a lot of pretentious, disingenuine people and activities. And it doesn't gel right with me. I feel like the YouTube we had 8 to 10 years ago, in early days, there was a lot more raw vlogs going on and just things like that. And I feel like if we can kind of bring that back, it's going to do good for people in this world, especially now in the times that we're going through. I think we need a little bit of that.
I totally agree. And it's funny too. You say the YouTube like 8 to 10 years ago. I feel like there was more content like the content you're putting out, which is just like, hey, let me give you a window into like what my life is like.
Dude, I'm telling you, like the road, like, I don't know if you got the chance to see, but I literally flew to Ohio to meet Roman Atwood.
I did see that one.
Guys like that, guys like all the vlogs, there's smaller ones like Clintus TV, Daily Bumps, like all that stuff is like, they're literally just people, normal people, and they're putting their lives online. And for some reason, I just related to it so much. And now I feel like it's going to make its way back here soon. And I definitely want to be a part of it. And again, I've stressed this a lot. It's not about the notoriety. It's not about the money by any means. It's about spreading positivity and, like I said earlier, giving back what was given to me, I feel like.
I love that, man. And you've also started a brand, which we'll get to that, but I like on the money point with your brand too. You're like, look, this isn't about the money, right? Any money I make from this, I want to be able to create experiences for people and bring smiles to faces. Like that's a novel approach that I feel like most people don't lead with that. Mm-hmm. But awesome, man. Well, look, I want to ask you because I'm also the type of guy that I said I don't care what people think of me for my whole life. And that was like 90% true. But there's something about turning on the camera and like you post a video and you're a little bit like, oh, geez, like maybe I do. I mean, can you relate to that feeling? And is that something that you've experienced?
100%. And I feel like it's something instilled in us as human beings from a young age. You shouldn't care what other people think. Just don't care what other people think. And you're like, yeah. But you do, right? And it's hard to be vocal about that. It's hard to be vulnerable about that. But I think when you do that and when you truly face that fear of addressing the fact that, you know what, there's been plenty of times in my life that somebody else's opinion got to me. It mattered. It affected what I did. Once you kind of look that in the eye, I think it helped me. I can post so many things now, and it's like, I love to read the positive comments on my videos, and I love to interact with them. But any negative comments, any people making fun of me, like it doesn't get to me as much now that I know I'm just putting it all out there. And what you see is what you get. This is me. I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's funny you say that too, like, because most of the comments on my stuff are pretty positive, right? And in my opinion, why would people hate on my stuff? I'm just trying to have conversations with normal people, right? But you get the every odd person in there, like, what's this guy doing? He's a weirdo. He's a loser. Like, and at first it did a little bit get to me, but to your point, it's like, I think you reach a point where you're like, man, this is me. And if you like it, great. And if you don't, that's also fine. Like, and I think not a lot of people get there. A lot of people say they're there, but until you put yourself out there, I don't know if you can really say like, okay, I truly am okay with people seeing me like this. Yeah.
And I think it's become so a back thought in my head, I guess, if you will, just people's opinions. Like I just don't, it doesn't matter that much to me. Obviously I like criticism because I want to make adjustments and make my content as good as I can.
But when it get better, right?
Yeah, exactly. And if you think you can't, then there's a problem. So I always want to strive to be better, make better content. And yeah, but when it comes to actually just the person I'm being and the message I'm pushing, anybody who has an issue with that is just, in my opinion, part of the issue in this country. So, and in this world.
It's a good point. And I think, like, I don't get political on this podcast. It's just not something not something that I get into. But what I will say though is, man, as you say, like, divisiveness, right? Like, I do believe that we're at a time right now in this country where we are more divided than ever. Yeah. And I think if people were more open with just being themselves and talking about certain issues, like, we wouldn't have the problems that we are, kind of being faced with right now. I think you're raising a really important issue.
Yeah, and that's a point I made. I don't know if it made the final cut or not. In that video I posted just recently, I believe yesterday, it was about, I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, conservative, whatever you want to be on the spectrum, there are things we can all unite on, and agree on. And what those topics are may vary, may differ, and it's absolutely fine. We're never going to agree on everything. That's just impossible, right? At the end of the day. But the most important thing is there is a way to go about certain situations, and there's a way to handle things. And it's the reality situation. Nobody's ever going to agree on everything. So
love that, man. And look, maybe this is an important segue into, first of all, I commend you. I think you're in your early 20s. You're basically an entrepreneur, right? So you're a content creator. Yeah. You're not 19, yeah. Right? And you've got this brand that is kind of around this idea of unifying, I should say, not to name drop, but can you talk a bit about your brand and kind of what you're trying to do here?
Absolutely. So I'll just bring it back to the start. We were blessed to work with this company from early days after the show had dropped, called Merch Labs, and they've been featured in plenty of my videos, as well as Connor's. They approached us like, hey, we want to help Connor out with some merch. And we were like, absolutely, let's do this thing. I think this is a great thing to spread and push, is this message, this show, right? And so we did the Connor merch. Connor's line is all through Merch Labs. And a little bit down the road, because Anna and I, my sister and I, were doing a lot of the designing portions. Teamed up with Merch Labs when it came to Connor stuff. They were kind of like, hey, would you guys want to work on something? And we were like, yeah. And they were like, okay, just brainstorm like what you guys want this to be and what path you want to take this down. And after a couple of weeks of thinking about it, and my sister and I brainstorming, we just thought the best message was, what are we doing already? And how can we incorporate it into something else? And that was, we're unifying people. We're bringing awareness to a topic, and people are loving and caring and becoming one and we're watching these journeys and stuff. And so it was just super motivating. So we came up with the name Unify, and our message is that. And I said that plenty of times
is to bring people together, right?
Exactly.
And it's so funny that you bring this brand to the surface now, because first of all, I don't know of any brand nowadays that has the outright message that our sole goal is to unify. So I think you found a gap in the market there. And then secondly, you're also releasing this at a time where, like I said, I think we're more divided than ever. Like, we need this.
Yeah. I completely agree.
No, absolutely. I see you're wearing a hat right now. It's fresh. I'm wearing Connor's. I'm wearing one of Connor's Merch Labs drops. You've clearly got one of yours, but Connor's helped to collaborate on the brand as well, right?
Yeah. So the one collab we have right now is with my brother Connor. He wanted to be a part of it. We were kind of talking about it, and so it's the 317 Club, and the meaning behind that is Connor's birthday is March 17th, so 317. That's kind of where that came from. So there's a couple hats and some shirts that we dropped with Connor, but he's just in on the message. He helped us, and so we're trying to do good things.
Awesome, man. I love to hear that. And look, you've mentioned Connor a few times, and obviously Connor's a hit. We all love Connor, and I think this whole country loves Connor. But I gotta ask, man. So he's your older brother, right? I mean, what was it like? What was it like growing up with him? I think a lot of people would be curious what it was like to grow up with him.
Well, I'll tell everybody something. It is not all sunshine and rainbows.
I believe it.
We are siblings at the end of the day. We bicker like brothers, but we have each other's backs like brothers. So that's something I take a lot of pride in. And no, I mean, being his brother has been crazy. You literally do get a different lens on life. And just the way he perceives things and looks at things is completely different. It is not better or worse. It's just different. And it's so good. I feel like I get such a benefit because I'm going through life with a neurotypical brain, and I'm experiencing things from that point of view. But I also get to sit here and watch my big brother go through life with a neurodiverse brain. And the way he absorbs things and perceives things is so interesting to me. And I kind of get to learn both and benefit from both. So I'm blessed to be in the position. Us as siblings would all agree on that. We're blessed to have him as our older brother. He's awesome. And, you know, there are many different ways you could look at it, but I think, we all look up to Connor a lot in plenty of different ways. Maybe not your traditional ways, but there are things that he does that are just like, wow. Like, I mean, we need to rip a page out of his book.
That's beautiful, man. And it's like, well, so in my case, I am the older brother, so I'm the oldest of four, right? So I have a younger brother.
I'm the youngest of four.
Oh, there you go. So we're on the opposite ends. But it's interesting, man. Like, I can imagine that, like, you look up to him in a lot of ways. I mean, at the end of the day, he's the big brother. Regardless of whether he's neurodivergent or neurotypical, like, look, man, that's my big bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool, dude. I also know that you're the reason he got on the show, right?
Well, okay. So I guess I was part of it, but I never like to claim that I'm the reason, because at the end of the day, Connor was the guy that got on the show. All I simply did was, it's actually a funny story. So my mom was like, this was like 2 years ago, I believe, June of 22.
Cool.
My mom was like, you need to reach out to this producer. I just think, because they had car rides with Connor running for a little bit, and we were all talking like, Connor would be so good. Connor would do so good on like just having a platform. And Connor had always voiced that he felt lonely, and there was a part of his life that he felt a vacancy in. And it happened to be, he had no relationships, no prior relationships, no nothing. And he craved that. And so we were talking, Mom was like, you need to message him. You need to message him. And I was like, Mom, there's no way this guy's ever going to answer me. The producer, Kean O'Cleary of the show. Yeah. She's like, you need to DM him or something. I was like, you know what? Fine. Like I wasn't gonna do it, but I was like, I'll do it. Keep bothering me. And so I type up this whole thing on Twitter, and I was like, this is my brother Connor. He works at Kroger. He is awesome. He'd love a chance at love. We've loved the show, all this stuff. And I linked the YouTube channel. Yeah. 6 months later, I get a message back from Kean, and it was like, here's my assistant's information. Shoot him a text. And then from that point on, my mom took over. Connor got on the Zoom calls, the psych eval, everything is such a process. People don't understand. Yeah. And he killed it. He knocked it out of the park, and he got himself on that show. He really did. So I sent a message, right? I mean, yeah, I did it. But I wouldn't claim I'm the pure reason.
Yeah, it's cool, man. And you know, you were featured a little bit on the show too, right? At times, like, what was it like being on there? I mean, because people know you too, right? They know him, and they know all you guys. But what was it like being on like an Emmy-nominated Netflix show?
Crazy. I had never been on camera like that before, ever. Yeah. None of us had, and it was a first time. Like, you walk in and you got all these cameras in your face, and you're just like, and there's no script to this show at all. People don't talk about that enough. A lot of people think this has to be scripted. There's not. It is so raw. It's raw and real as it gets. They'll set up a camera and say, okay, just talk about this. And you go 2.5 hours of talking about that, and you're just like, oh God, like, I don't know where to start. What to
crazy.
Say. Yeah. And a lot of people would think that they are just telling you it's just not like that. It is truly raw. Like, it makes it hard, because it's like, I don't know what to say.
So they were just in your house with cameras, just kind of like filming you guys do whatever, or would they put you in scenarios like, oh no, talk about this, talk about that? No, it was just like, we're just gonna be a fly on the wall.
99% of the time, they were flies on the wall. Connor would come down, and we'd sit and talk. Maybe they would say, all right, Connor had a date yesterday, and then we just talk about the date. But I really appreciate that, and I think that needs to be told, because it's not like a lot of these scripted shows, whatever it is. It's real. It's real, and you can't fake it with the neurodiverse community, in my opinion. And I think it's beautiful to watch them work in their natural ways, and then we get to respond to it. And it's just, I don't know. It's a beautiful show, beautiful concept. I loved it. It was incredible. Crazy to know I'm on Netflix. Like, that's unreal. And my kitchen's on Netflix, my house, my dogs, my family. So it was crazy. It was very surreal.
Well, that's awesome, man. And look, I want to talk a little bit about what you've done before you became an entrepreneur. Look, I know you're an athlete too. But before we get to that, I always ask individuals that either are starting a business or have a business, like, how has it been, right? I mean, in the early days, do you have any little victories to share, or anything that's been really hard? I mean, and I'll preface this by saying, I hear a lot of podcasts from people that are winning all the time, right? Yeah. I want to hear a little bit about people that have taken some little losses and maybe are continuing to persevere.
Well, I'll be honest, we haven't done what we wanted to do. So far, when you want to break down the numbers and everything. But again, that's not the purpose behind this. It's not the reason we're doing this. It's not what we believe in. And ultimately, I think we've already had to take a step back and evaluate what next steps can we take to really scale this thing and scale this thing on. So when someone sees that logo, they know like that's Unify or what we stand for. That's really it. It's a game of chess, right? And, you're trying to make the correct plays at the correct times. And I was watching a podcast today actually, and it was Jake Paul, and I saw his new brand, the W stuff or whatever. He's like, we did 50 million year one. I'm like, we're not there. We're not doing that year one, but we're not going to stop. We're going to continue to push this message no matter what it takes. And we've all agreed to that. We've all made the commitment. We have a lot of cool things coming. We're working with a lot of cool people. But I think the victory we've taken is we've learned a big lesson on what next steps to take. And I think we're about to take those, and we'll be taking plenty of victories in the future, as well as everybody else who's going to join the movement. And we're excited.
I love that, man. And you'll see my order come in very shortly. So excited to grab one. No, seriously, man. Well, look, man, I think, I don't know what you've been influenced, but at least my early years were influenced a lot by sports. And I grew up playing football, like since I was 5, 6, I was playing touch. And then, my father played in college. And so football has always been a part of my life. And I ask because I saw on your Instagram, you have a caption that says, "Thank you, football." And I think it's from maybe the last time you signed off, right? So can you just talk a bit about what it was like? I think you were a quarterback, and I always had aspirations to do exactly that. I was more of a slot receiver. Either way, I'd be curious when you reflect on your time on the football field, like what did football teach you about life?
I didn't go through football I didn't have a typical experience. I didn't, get to go through, at least let's talk about high school, right? When I was a freshman in high school, I went to a school called Denmark. I went over there to play baseball, and I played football my freshman year, ended up getting called up to varsity at the end of my freshman year, just to, be the younger guy to absorb, because obviously, whatever they saw, but they could use me, whether I was a scout team dummy or just being a sponge, 100%, right? To the older guys. So I did that and went in to play baseball our spring season, and we got hit by COVID. So everything kind of just got thrown through a loop. And keep in mind, this high school, I had transferred out of district to go to this school. I had no friends there. It was a new thing to me. I knew a couple coaches that I really wanted to play for. So I went over there. Then COVID strikes. And I was like, oh no, what do I do? I'm hanging out with all of my friends over the summer, and they all go to this one school. And I was like, ugh. So I made the decision to transfer back to my original high school that my older siblings had gone through.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So I go there and I start going out to practice football. And after a week, they go, "Oh yeah, you're ineligible to play any varsity sports, by the way, for a whole year because you transferred." I was like, what?
So you started to practice for a week, and then after a week, I don't know if you guys were even in pads yet. They were like, "Yeah, we can't have you."
No. I wasn't. So I was still in the acclimation process, right? So it's just helmets, and they told me you can't play, like you're ineligible, and I was like, damn, like okay, whatever, it's fine. So I played JV my sophomore year. We had a really good guy in the position. He was my age. His name was Keegan. He was a dog at quarterback. So I'll give that to him. It would have been a hell of a competition anyways if I was there. So he was a dog, and I got to learn a lot from him and play under him. And so we go to I ruled out there, couldn't really get the full playtime experience. So we go to my junior year, stepped away from football to focus on baseball that summer. So I missed summer workouts, crucial time, in football.
Of course,
crucial
man.
Time. I come back August. I'm like, dude, I miss it. Like, what did I do? Like, talking to the coaches, I'm like, would this be an option for me to come back? And they're thinking about it. They're talking to the captains. Like, you know what? We think it's fine. You can come back and join the team, right? Because those kids just busted their ass all summer.
100%. And I can imagine, especially in Georgia, football is real serious, right?
Oh, no. If you play football in Georgia in the summer, not everybody makes it through it. They don't. You will have 140 guys, for example, at my school. You'll have 135 guys, right? Day one. The end of the summer, you may be down to 90. Like, wow. And that's all classes included. So it's real deal. But, so they let me back on the team. I was like so thankful for that. But I had cost myself 3 months of building chemistry with the team, getting my chance to start. I was a backup quarterback. I'd done that to myself. But
well,
so
especially as a quarterback, that's even more important to have that rapport, to know the playbook with the guys, all that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Have the trust. I mean, being a quarterback, you are the leader of the team. Like your guys need to trust you to be there. And I wasn't. I didn't show up. So I own that. I didn't play. And I ended up hurting my shoulder. I had to sit out the rest of the year, even on the JV team. So I was like screwed. And so, but again, during all these setbacks, I'm learning so much about myself.
Yeah.
Because I'm learning, okay, maybe I shouldn't have given up this sport because I didn't see that much potential in playing and I wanted to go elsewhere. I could have done both and I could have put myself in a better position. But you know what? We're here now. Let's build on that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, the lessons it had taught me, I ended up, the big guy transferred out going into our senior year. I got the chance. I had a pretty average season, but I had so much fun. Like the work we put in, the time, just getting to go out there and strap it up and knock some heads with your boys is like, there's no better feeling. You know
100%. And I feel like I don't want to sound like a, peaking high school guy because I hope there's a lot of good ahead, but like, right. It's like, but that is, I will never forget those days.
Yeah. And sometimes I sit back and I ask some of my buddies sometimes like, like, I don't miss high school, but like football, man, like I could go do that again. You know?
You and me both, brother.
And it isn't a peaked in high school thing. It's just like that was a great time in your life, and you just reflect on it. Like you know what? But then you understand when coach goes, "I'd give anything to be in your position right now." And
now
like,
you get it.
Whatever. You know what? No, he would.
It's funny, like, and it was fun. And I was not a star by any means. I was a defensive back on our varsity high school football team, and like I played football in Connecticut, right? So high school football in Connecticut versus high school football down south, two different worlds, right? But I will say, one thing that I've been chasing a lot in my life is like presence and like feeling like I'm where my feet are. You know what I mean? I don't feel it at my desk job. I don't necessarily feel it when I'm even in the gym, right? But when I look back, man, like Friday nights under the lights playing high school football, like it firmly planted me exactly where I was. That's the only way I can describe it, is like I was nowhere else but right there. And that's a feeling I've kind of been chasing for a long time. So no, it's not a peak in high school thing, but I think a lot of guys can relate. Like it is a special experience to do that with your boys.
Absolutely.
So look, dude, I admire your entrepreneurial aspirations. What is next for you? Are you going all in on YouTube? Are you going all in on the business? Like, what's up next?
So this question excites me because honestly, I don't know, but I do know.
All right.
I can kind of relate to you when you say the thing about your desk job, because I'm in one. I sell cars, right?
Oh, you're a car salesman. All right.
Yeah. Part-time. I know a guy who owns a dealership, so I help him out and just do what I can. And then I also work at the park locally, but it's not doing it for me. And I'll tell you what, that feeling, and you could probably relate to this as well, that feeling of clicking upload on a video after the editing and everything, and then seeing those views like trickle and then the comments trickle, it's like, okay, this is like adrenaline. This
100%.
I had to realize, I had a come to Jesus moment, and I was like, this was a couple weeks ago, and I was just on my phone and I hit publish on a video, and I was like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. And getting to come on things like this and just spread positivity and be real. Like,
yeah, dude,
there's no pressure because I have no problem putting my life and my experiences and the things I go through online, good or bad. Like, I'm not a perfect person. There's so many people on social media right now, and they put out these things, and I'm not digging. I literally just said in a video the other day, don't dig on other people for what they're doing. That's not what I'm doing, but I'm just trying to, for the people who sit back and look at these stars and they're like, wow, like I can never be like that, because I've done it in my life. I look at some people and I'm like, damn, like, how'd you get there? How'd you get there? I want people to be able to watch me and be like, wow, he's a normal guy. I made that mistake too. He's making this mistake, and he's doing this.
100%.
He's found what he's going to do this. He's striving to do this. The biggest thing I guess I could say is just don't be afraid to fall on your face, because it's going to happen one way or another at some point. But you win there, you learn. And I said it in that video, Just Do It. I heard this quote one day. It was, you don't lose, you either win or fail forward.
I love that.
And it's just, it so real. And I say in the video, it's one of those things you hear at face value. You're like, okay, yeah, like, okay. But then it just stuck with me, and I'm like, wow, like I'm never losing. I'm just learning, and that learning is going to make me win, get me closer to that win.
And what I love about the YouTube thing that I love too specifically is like every upload, like you feel it tangibly. You feel yourself getting better. You feel yourself getting more comfortable. Like you feel it, right? And so, it's different, in my opinion, than working at a corporate job or even in your job, where it's like your manager might give you a performance review every 6 months. Like with YouTube, you get real-time feedback. You feel like you can be yourself. It's really a blessing, I think, that we have this platform and can use it to do the things that we're doing.
Exactly.
And so I feel extremely grateful. But what I have to say is I think a lot of people go their whole lives without ever having that moment where they say, oh, I want to do this. Like that feeling you're describing where you hit publish and you're like, oh, this is it. I think a lot of people don't ever have that feeling. And so I'm grateful that there's, another person in the world that had that feeling, because that's like a bold step to be like, oh, yep, this is my thing. But it probably feels pretty good.
No, it's so refreshing. And one thing I guess I could say to people who are struggling to find what they love, because for a long time I've thought about like, what the hell am I going to do in this world? As you know, I'm not going down the traditional college route. So just from the get-go, like it was more pressure, like it wasn't pressure from my parents, because my parents are so supportive of me. They want the best of me, and I am blessed to be able to say that.
Awesome.
But they want the best for me. So they want like me to have a plan. They want me to figure it out. And so there was some pressure. I'm like, what? Like I'm looking at myself in the mirror, like, what am I going to do? What are my next steps? What next steps am I going to take? And I would say just go be uncomfortable. Like one thing, I'm not sure if you've seen them seek, it's Yes Theory.
Of course I've seen Yes Theory.
Seek discomfort. Go do that. You will find greatness. I tell Connor this all the time. And for a lot of times in the show, there were things that were scary for him. There were things that were uncomfortable and he was just nervous. And I was like, Connor, greatness is on the other side of fear. Go find what scares you and do it. You will find yourself, and it's things. For me, it was posting online. I was scared to do it for so long. I'm going to get picked on by that guy, picked on by this person's going to think this about me. I'm not going to be able to go to the gym and see those people because I'm posting. I go to that gym. I love doing what I'm doing. I'm going to keep doing it. And I hope everybody enjoys it and is here to stay. And I think you're doing a great thing too. I'm loving this, seriously.
I appreciate you, brother. Well, look, I think one thing I'll say in closing too is I feel like a lot of people wish they had the courage to do exactly what you're doing. And what I will say to anybody that might be on the fence is, trust me when I say this, once you flip over to the other side, you can never go back. Like I can never go back to the way I was before. It's this feeling, man, and it's addicting. It's like a drug, man. And it really is. And once you begin to just put yourself out there, just feeling like you're the radical, authentic version of yourself, there's no better feeling in the world. There's no better feeling in the world, brother.
Period.
Look, man, I can't thank you enough. What are your socials, man, for anybody listening so they can give you a follow?
My Instagram is just my name. Look up, it should be Jack_Tomlinson. That's really all I'm on. And then my YouTube is just Jack Tomlinson, my name. So
And the clothing brand is
Unify Clo. So just go look up that. It's like CLO, Unify Clo. And go check it out. Links are everywhere. Links are in my bio. And we'd appreciate the support. As I said, we're trying to do big things. And it's not about the money, but we would love to have the capital resources to go spread more positivity and be happy. I want to get involved with charities. I want to get involved with just giving back and helping also other people figure out what they love and what they want. I think we can do that. I think we can unify and be great. So I'm super excited for what the future holds. And I can't say thank you enough.